Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey.
Hey guys, it's your buddy Caden, and today we're here at the Russell Center. And I actually interviewed Jay Bailey in an interviewing series that I have, Money Minutes with Millionaires. So here we go.
Young sir, welcome to the Russell Center. So what I got in my bag, man?
You have my financial toolbox.
Okay. What's the best use of your time for an hour?
I would love a tour of the Russell Center to ask you a few questions.
Surely, my brother. So, have you seen that book, Building Atlanta, before?
Yes.
You have that book already?
Yes, but I would love another copy.
Well, you got another copy. Well, here's where it really gets interesting, man. Mr. Russell was probably one of the most prolific entrepreneurs Atlanta's ever produced. He was the best. He was the king. This is the guy that integrated the Chamber of Commerce at the city and the state level. Built half of the skyline that you see in Atlanta. This brother was so cold that he used to have a pool inside his house at the age of 30. This is where young Dr. King used to go and swim and try to figure out how he wanted to change the world. More impressive than that is at the age of 27, he and 7 other families bought a 200-acre cattle farm and built the neighborhood that we know today as Collier Heights. Just to create a safe space for black families to have a dignified place to live. With the civil rights movement, he helped underwrite it. So when you think about Dr. King and all those bus trips and all those hotels and all those airplanes, who was paying for it? Business people like Mr. Russell. Even in Atlanta, there were not a whole lot of uprisings in Atlanta, although we're the home of the civil rights movement. 117 students got locked up during the civil rights movement, during the student movement. They made one phone call and one man bailed them all out. And that's why when you put 504 Fair Street in your GPS to get here, directly as it crosses Northside Drive, it becomes Student Movement Boulevard in honor of Mr. Russell. When you think of yourself, when you dream of you being most successful?
I think of me having multiple companies with multiple buildings and multiple offices and being wealthy. Being able to take care of everyone who's close to me.
There's so much power in us, but people just need good role models. They need good examples. They don't have to go outside of the community to have something nice. It can happen right here in their own community. I don't have to buy a slave doll and see my reflection as a slave. I can see myself as a CEO. And that's the powerful piece of what we're trying to do here. It's owned by the community, it's in the community, it's by the community, it's for the community. And we're really going to put every effort into making sure that we create a safe environment for our entrepreneurs to fail and fly. That both of you may have heard from your parents. In life, sometimes we've been told this narrative that as black people, we got to be twice as sharp, twice as smart, twice as put together. That's a heavy load to bear, you know? And everywhere that you go, that when I go to these conferences and I go to other things and I'm the only brother in the whole room, I carry a pressure like I got to represent for everybody because they're looking at me. That's a lot of pressure. What it doesn't allow us to be sometimes is vulnerable enough to say I need help because I'm always trying to look perfect. I'm always trying to look put together. I'm always trying to look like I don't lack anything. But all of us need help. And so how do we create a safe environment where our folks can come together and say, you know what? I need some help with this. You know what? I don't really understand this. What is a balance sheet? What's a P&L? Typically, we all had to just figure it out ourselves. But what if we created the center to help you actually do that? And you, my friend, wherever you want to go, and help me understand too, as you start to develop in your mind, I'm very interested, brother, in learning, taking the platform that you've created and having a goal of being wealthy, right? What is the thing that you will do or sell or provide that I can pay you for that will allow you to be wealthy?
The thing that I would say is being able to create my products and being able to sell them to multiple people by doing events and promoting them online from my website. I have my activity book, my financial flashcards, which are in there.
Sure.
My book titled Caden's Rich Kid Guide.
Yeah.
My puzzle. And my newest project that I'm working on, my financial bus. We're all going.
Saw that online. You bought the bus, right?
Yeah.
My man.
We'll all go around the schools and teach them all about financial literacy. So there will be a few different sections in the bus. One section will have a mock grocery store that'll teach kids how to have a family budget. So for example, they will have a $20 budget and they will have to purchase everything under the $20 budget. And we'll have a mock bank that would teach kids how to deposit money, how to withdraw money.
All on the bus.
Yeah, and how to write checks and so much more. And I actually already have the bus. I'm just in the process of remodeling it.
How much the remodel gonna cost you?
Around $30,000.
I just think it's a good idea. I think that we need more people like you, Caden, have the courage to, one, strike out on a project like this, right? But then to have youth hearing from youth, because oftentimes when we talk about financial literacy, it's adults who think we know everything talking down to kids. And the kids never really hear us, they never really connect, they never really, make the connection, say that's what needs to happen. But if you show me an 11-year-old who pulls up in a bus that he owns, that he spent $50,000 to rehab, that he raised himself, and he's talking to me about money, maybe I'll listen. Because, part of my story, brother, is, I've always been an entrepreneur. And I don't know if we talked about this in our interview. Did I at all? Like my journey through entrepreneurship?
No.
Okay, so part of how entrepreneurship is real for me and how I got here, right? I was always a hustling kid. I used to make popsicles in the ice tray, selling to people coming up and down the street for a dime. I was so cold with y'all. I used to charge people 50 cents to fight in my backyard, so they wouldn't be cold for me. I grew up in South DeKalb County, Decatur, Glenwood Road, Columbia. Both of my parents were working parents. We were working class family, so I was a latchkey kid. That meant like at your age, I was walking home and I had a key and there was nobody in the house. So, I got into all kind of trouble. What I used to, I hated school too. I was a terrible student. I was branded gifted in kindergarten. So smart, but I just didn't like school. I treated school like construction work. I put up, 3 o'clock when they ring the bell, I'm done. Don't bother me. I ain't doing no homework. I ain't reading nothing. If y'all ain't get me in these 8 hours, that's it. What's your favorite car? If I gave you $1 million, what kind of car would you want? Either.
I would say a McLaren P1.
Okay. Okay. You might need some more money. But when I was growing up, man, you could have taken a McLaren or a Bugatti or a Ferrari, and I'd have taken a Mustang GT 5.0 every day of the week. That was my favorite car. So if somebody asked me that question when I was your age, it would have been a Mustang GT 5.0. I was riding to the barbershop, got to the Cannon Plaza barbershop, and there it was parked illegally in front of the barbershop, a black-on-black convertible Mustang GT. So it would be kind of like if you pulled up in my parking lot and there was a McLaren P1 parked outside, you'd probably lose your mind. And you probably wouldn't have walked in the building. He'd have just stayed out there looking at the car. Well, that's kind of what happened. I just stayed out there and looked at the car forever because I had never seen one in my neighborhood. And the boys that drove cars that were similar, they did a particular thing for a living, right? So when I hopped in the barbershop and hopped in my barber's chair, I asked him, as a matter of fact, ask him about the weather. I said, John, I didn't know you were a dope boy. And he screamed at me, actually cursed at me, told me to turn around and count how many chairs he saw in that shop. I said 10. He says, well, each one of these barbers pays me $50 a week to cut hair in my shop. Jay, you smart, do the math. Well, it's the early 80s, so $50 a week was a big deal back then, right? So I started doing the math. He says, boy, before you finish, I got 2 more shops just like this. Finish the math. So little J Bailey was like 0, 0, 0, comma, 0, and it clicked. He said it to me. He said, boy, I'm an entrepreneur, and I own all my businesses. And what you need to go do is find you something you love and make money doing it. Fundamentally changed my life. Nobody had ever told me about ownership. Nobody had ever said this word entrepreneurship to me because I didn't know what it was, but naturally I was already that. And so my bike ride home fundamentally changed my life. I had 1,000 questions. Who owns McDonald's? Who owns a public library? Who owns that little piece of land right there? Mom, Dad, do we own our house? We do. Now I want to fight you when you try to cut through our lawn because this is our lawn. You can't cut through my grass. We own this grass. That power of ownership prompted me, because my role models back then were not like Ambassador Adrian and Dr. King. My role models back then were based on somebody's ability to shake the walls of my house when they drove by. The way that you love businesses and dolls and speaking, I love car stereos back then. That was my thing. So I used to hang out at Circuit City and Hi-Fi Buys and all the flea markets and all the stereo shops, sweeping up floors and doing little odd tasks because I was teaching myself how to install car stereo equipment. I literally stole a magazine out of one of the shops. I borrowed it, right? But I read it cover to cover because the thing is, you could have given me a book 1,000 pages thick for homework, and I wouldn't read it. I mean, you could give me a book 1 page thick for homework, and I wouldn't read it. You'd give me a book 1,000 pages thick on how to rewire a Honda Accord, and I read it cover to cover. It's about what you're interested in, right? And so I read this book cover to cover, and there was an advertisement in this book where a pile driver 12-inch woofer, they were selling it for $49. But I knew in the store that same speaker sold for $199 because I had memorized all the pricing. I called the 1-800 number, and God blessed me with this poor woman that was answering all of my questions because I was a 12-year-old kid trying to act like I'm 25 on the call, trying to have the deep voice. I was lying. But she probably knew that she was talking to a kid, but she explained the whole concept of wholesale and retail. And it clicked for me. It made all the sense in the world. So it's a real story that I took my dad's little plastic card that I had seen him put in the machine, and if he put in those 4 numbers, money would come out. Didn't really understand financial literacy. I hadn't ridden on the Caden bus yet. So I knew that I needed $300 to actually go and buy my first supplies. As I went down to the Secretary of State's office, I set up a small corporation. I did some things to make that happen with one of my cousins that was over 18, and I created the House of Boom. It was my first business at 12 years old. And on the side of my house, I used to install car stereo equipment. And I was making anywhere from $300 to $1,000 a month at 12, 13, 14 years old. But I got the beating of my life in the beginning because I got $300 out of somebody's account and probably had to pay the mortgage. Probably had to pay the light bill. And I didn't understand financial literacy. And I didn't understand what, if somebody was only making $600 for the month, $600 for 2 weeks, and if their son went and took $300 out, that's a real problem. But, you know, once I told my dad that it was doing it to start my own business, he stopped. He's probably a lot like your dad. Like, I can respect why you're doing it. I hate that you do it. We'll figure it out. But if you're trying to start a business, you know, okay, I'm not so mad at you about that.
Hey. Yeah.
Hey everybody, hey family, this is Jay Bailey, President and CEO of the H.J. Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs, sitting here with an actual living, breathing 11-year-old powerhouse CEO, Caden. Man, Caden, it was good to talk to you today, brother. I'm excited, I'm inspired. You're exactly why we do this work, man. I got a lot to learn from you as well. So, sir, much success, much luck on everything that you do, but I can't wish you luck because you're going to make it happen regardless. You're doing it at 11. Guys, I will tell you, one of the most impressive young entrepreneurs that I have met. He's here with his entire family. His sister's an entrepreneur, his mom is an entrepreneur, his daddy's an entrepreneur. That's how it works. We become what we behold. I'm just honored to meet this man today. Thanks for everything. Follow him at Caden Speaks. He's the man.
Hey guys, we're here at the Russell Center, and I've done an interview with Mr. Jay Bailey, who is the CEO of the Russell Center. So here we go.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about cash. Tell me what you know about cash. Yeah. Let's talk about cash. Let me tell you what I know about cash. The C stands for constantly earning, A stands for assets and